Hey guys, Ryden here, and welcome to another Monster Hunter Rise trailer analysis. Quote-unquote analysis. I'm doing my best, guys. Today we're looking at the Insect Glaive and the Gunlance, which are two weapons I've been excited to see a trailer on for a multitude of reasons. A real multitude of reasons. But first, my question for you guys for this video, since you guys seem to like my question last video so much, for this video is... what monster have you fought so many times, so exhaustively and repetitively over and over again, that you feel like you're a master of fighting? You know, for me, I would probably say it was Mizutsune. That bubble dragon I have fought so many times, I easily could defeat it nowadays. You know, without even taking damage, usually. Unless I, like, goof up. Anyways, on to the trailer. First, we're taking a look at Insect Glaive, and I want to say, even before I start this, early on, I got to a conversation when some of the leaks came out, before I even knew I'd be doing the series, and I talked to some friends about some of the Insect Glaive, because sadly, a lot of this info was leaked, but the Insect Glaive is the only one I've actually heard about until now, and I've also gotten comments in the comment section going like, oh boy, Insect Glaive, yay. So... I'm gonna keep my expectations pretty, like, moderate here, and I'm not gonna, like, jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh, whatever's it's gonna show me is gonna suck, but, you know, let's see this and figure it out for ourselves. I also switched video capture software, so now I don't have that annoying thing in our face. I like that kind of scientist design for the Insect Glaive there. Oh god, Giratonis, why? Why would you bring him back? I would legit actually kind of prefer Plessia. Okay, so far I haven't seen anything new. Base movement moveset-wise. Silkbind Vault. What do we have here? Oh, it's the Vault from World. Okay, I like that. I don't think anyone can argue with that. This is great for getting mounting damage if you are the type of person that like to mount. Recall Insect? Or Kinsect? Recovers Hunter health and Kinsect stamina? Wait, what? What? I heard about this, but I didn't really want to believe it, to be honest. What? That's a base function that the weapon should have. Why is that a special Silkbind attack? Why does Capcom hate this weapon so much? Okay, anyways, before I talk about that, what is the deal with Kinsect Glaives? What is the deal with airline foods? So for new players, the Kinsect Glaive is a really technical weapon. It's not impossible to learn or anything, and the moveset actually isn't that hard, but there's a lot going on. The Insect Glaive has two parts to the weapons. It has the glaive itself, which is the weapon you're using, and a bug that hangs out with you called the Kinsect. What this bug does is you send it out and it'll hit parts of the monster. Depending on what part of the monster it'll hit, you'll get a different buff. If it's head or sometimes tail, you'll get a red buff that increases your damage. If you hit the legs, arms, or wings, you'll get a white buff that in some games increases speed, but in other games increases affinity, so we'll have to see which one they go with here. And then orange, which you get from hitting the body, will give you armor, and getting a mixture of these buffs will actually give you even more bonuses on top of the base bonuses, but the buffs don't last forever. They last for a finite amount of time, so you're going to have to get these buffs, go crazy on the monster, and then be aware of when they're going to run out, and get them all over again. On top of this, the Insect Glaive, as far as moveset goes, and you can see right here with it doing the freaking vault, it is considered the king of the aerial weapons here, and you can see why. They can do some crazy stuff in the air. They can build up mounting damage like no one else, so you can grab the monster and topple it. If you like being extremely mobile, but want that mobility to be in the air, this weapon is fantastic for you. Now, I will warn you, I don't know what they're going to do with, or how they're going to use the system in Rise, but the weapon is a little more complicated than the other weapons to build. So yeah, there's the Kinsect right there on his arm. But what I mean by that is, you're not only building the Insect Glaive itself, but you also have to level up the Kinsect, kind of like a weird Pokemon thing, or Monster Rancher, whatever your monster collecting thing is. Different Kinsects do different things. They have different elements, different status effects, different, cutting. Sometimes they cut, sometimes they do blunt damage to actually build up stun. Some of them can heal you. And luckily in World, they fixed it so you can see where you're going ahead of time and what kind of insect you're getting into. But in past games, this system was incredibly convoluted, with you having to freaking feed your Kinsect certain essences or whatever to give it certain stats, and it was too much. It was unnecessarily bloated. But it was fixed in World, so I'm only going to assume that Rise is not going to have that problem. But yeah, play the Insect Glaive if you really like the mobility of being in the skies, or maybe you just like the feeling of having an animal partner fighting alongside you that is not a weird anthropomorphic cat, now a doggo that looks like Rapide. Now for my opinions on these glorious trailer. I can see why people were disappointed. I saw absolutely no moves, or no new moves in this entire trailer. There is nothing new. Granted, the Kinsect Glaive is in a fine spot where it's at, or the Insect Glaive. God damn it. You call it Kinsect Glaive or whatever. It's in a good spot, I can't say the weapon's in a bad spot right now. I think this first one's actually understandable. Giving them the vault, this aerial vault, as one of their special attacks, that's fine, The Silkbind Vault was a cool move. And when it got added in World, it just added a whole new level of verticality and movement to the Insect Glaive's already prominent aerial dominance. Okay, and while I didn't have a problem with that, because the aerial stuff is really cool, the Recall Kinsect, this ability, for new players, let me tell you why this is so stupid. This is an ability that has been on the Insect Glaive since it came out. It is not some special super ability. It is not something new. We have had this forever. It is a base function of the weapon. And it's like, hey, it recovers Hunter Stealth and Kinsect Stamina. Okay, the Hunter's Health, is that just supposed to replace the existence of the green buff, or is the green buff still there? And the Kinsect Stamina, legit, I have friends who have played 275 hours of Insect Glaive in World, and they forgot that the Kinsect had a stamina bar. If I recall, the only thing it's really used for is when you send it out to attack something. But, that stamina bar is so gigantic in that game anyways. It's just I think that the Insect Glaive's changes are the least interesting out of every single weapon in the game, and it really shouldn't be that way. Wait, do they even have the Dragoon Dive? In Iceborne, they introduced it. They introduced this sick-looking, Dragoon Spear Vault where you, jam your spear into the ground from the air, and I actually didn't see that in this trailer. I did not see that move at all, now that I think about it. That's kind of crazy. And I'm sorry if what I'm about to say is, a little ranty. I want this to come off as more of an analysis and less Xeno complains about weapons. But, even in Generations, when they started giving all the weapons supers and stuff, even the Insect Glaive got, the least interesting of anything. And I don't know why Capcom is so afraid of giving the Insect Glaive some really cool stuff. I mean, in World, Iceborne, yeah, they gave them quite a bit, but, every time I feel like they try to improve one of these weapons, I feel like Insect Glaive gets the least out of it. And especially when you compare it to something like freaking Charge Blade, who, I don't know, Capcom loves the Charge Blade so much because they will give it everything. The Charge Blade is a weapon that can literally do pretty much everything already. And I say this as a person who loves Charge Blade. I love this weapon. But that weapon can do a little bit of literally everything in the entire game. If you want it to, it can stun. If you want it to, it can do elemental damage. If you want it to, it can apply status ailments. If you want it to, it can do huge bursts of damage. You can block with it. You can parry with it. You can have a high level of mobility with the weapon. You can do everything with that weapon. And yet, every time I see an expansion for it, Capcom's like, hey, I heard people like Charge Blade, so what if we give it a new sword mode? You know what? Also, we're gonna give it a new special, up-powered axe mode, where it's like a ripper saw, and then we're gonna give it a new elemental discharge, and a new type of guard that they can use, and it's just I don't know. I've gone too much on a rant about freaking Charge Blade, but all I'm gonna say at the end of the day is, please, Capcom, I know the Insect Glaive's in a really good spot where it's at right now, but show it some more love. be more creative with this weapon. There is so many unexplored possibilities with the insect glaive. Like, I've dreamed about it in my head. Like, what could you do with the insect glaive? Like, okay, what if there was like, and especially when we have something called the wire bug, I'm surprised it doesn't interact with that wire bug more. Like, could you imagine if the insect glaive could actually have both the wire bug and their other bug attack the creature at the same time? Or maybe they could have such high control over the wire bug that they could actually like use it to grab a creature's limb or something, or to do something interesting, you know? Overall, I have to agree with people. I'm a little disappointed with this trailer, but at the end of the day, I can still say if you are interested in Insect Glaive, this moveset is still great. Where the weapon is at right now is still fantastic, especially if you've never played the weapon before. It works excellently. If you like that mounting damage, if you like the mobility, the combo routes are tons of fun. There's so much you can do with this weapon, and I still think it's going to be a ton of fun. I have to agree with people when I say it's a little underwhelming coming from the past games. All right, next up we have everyone's favorite boomstick, the Gunlance. Which, you know, I'm excited to hear about, because I know nothing about what they're going to give this weapon. I don't think they've even shown the Gunlance yet, really. I think they've basically only shown regular lance, so here we go. What did I just see? That was sick. I just saw a double aerial shot. Okay, it was a charge shot. Oh, they kept the thing from World. Red, they kept the spike. Okay, quick reload, full burst, Wyvern Blast, or fire, whatever it's called. Oh, that is sick, Hail Cutter. I bet you can do a full burst after that. Oh, and it reduces the cooldown time. That is awesome. Guard Edge, what is this? I'm gonna have to watch that again. Here comes the pain. Okay, it restores sharpness, which is useful. It's super useful for it. I'm gonna have to watch this trailer again because there was a lot of explosions. Alright, so now let's talk about, for new players, what is the Gunlance and why should you use it? The Gunlance it's actually a lot like regular lance, but there are some key differences. The Gunlance does not have, like, some of the super guards the regular lance gets. It also has some of the shittiest mobility in the entire game when it comes to, like, oh, you know, I want to move around the field with my weapon out. No, this weapon is by far one of the slowest. But in return, you get shells that can wound monster parts that other people may not even be able to pierce unless they're like top sharpness levels. The shell damage is also unblockable, which is great. You can have multiple combo chains between how you fire these shells. There's multiple types. You can fire them normally. You can fire them all at once. You can charge them up and fire them one by one. You get a giant wyvern stake that you can freaking stick in the monster and it explodes. On top of that, there's also 3 types of Gunlances, which suit different types of playstyles. At the end of the day, if you don't mind being a little lacking in mobility, and are okay with the fact that your weapon sharpness goes to shit every 2 seconds because you're kind of firing a gun out of your lance, this weapon is just for you. That's all I'm going to say. It's a ton of fun. It just takes some getting used to, especially with its mobility issues. But once you do, oh man, is this weapon fun. It's fun just to blow things up, watch them explode, and watch them go. All right, now let's analyze. I actually, instead of just analyzing the silk thing, I want to watch the entire trailer again. Because I feel like there's some stuff I honestly missed here. Like, right at the beginning here, I saw... Okay, that was a Wyvern Blast. I saw a double aerial gunshot. I'm sorry if the bitrate is, like, dying here. Okay, yeah, that definitely is the Wyvern Stake. Or Spike, or whatever it's called. I'm never going to remember half these move names. So, first up we have this Hail Cutter, which this move is great. I'm not going to lie. Not only is this going to allow you to get out of the way of the monster, it gives you a hit on the way up, which I don't know if that counts as an aerial attack. Then on the way down, you're going to get a slam attack, which does some mounting damage. And according to the website, perform a rising slash, then an overhead slash. Each usage reduces the cooldown time for Wyvern Fire. So if you're the person that likes to spam Wyvern Fire, you can use this a bunch of times and get it back up. On top of that, I'm so sorry. Oh god. Maybe I should watch this on YouTube. The video's like dying here. But going back to here real quick. I feel like you should be able to do a full burst from here, because that's what this position looks like, right? It looks like you should be able to hit A and watch the thing explode and fire all your shells at once, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it reduces the cooldown time of your Wyvern Fire, which is essentially your big blast. And then for the second one, we have Guard Edge, which this move, from what I can see here, if you manage to block a monster's attack with this, it will restore sharpness to your weapon. And while this does seem kind of boring to some people, this is actually kind of huge for the Gunlance. Because as I said, the Gunlance's #1 problem is that when you fire shells, the sharpness deteriorates faster than any other weapon in the game. Like, sharpness is a huge problem for the Gunlance. So having a move like this will really help out in like, man, my Gunlance just dropped into like X sharpness, and then you can block something and get back to where you want to be. So that's awesome, you know? And you can actually, I don't know if he actually comboed out of that or if he just did something, but either way, I really like what Gunlance has been showing us here. They added the mobility I think that everyone's asked for, especially with that aerial thing, without overdoing it, because let's be honest, while everyone likes the freaking jet engine ability that was in Generations, for balance's sake, it's a little meh. You know? It's not like it was absolutely broken, but it's like, hey, Lance has mobility, and it's like, no, you don't. I do. But anyways, yeah, I really like what they've shown here, and I think Gunlance is in a really good spot right now as far as how the weapon works. I, once again, recommend Gunlance to anyone who just likes a lot of explosions and doesn't mind being a turtle to get there. Also, I want to point out, I do not remember Azeros being this big, right? Is it just my imagination, or did they upscale Azeros into infinity when it comes to his size? Like, look at this. I remember, like, being nearly as tall as Azeros. Now you barely make it up to his stomach. It's insane how big they've made this monster, and I kind of love it. It makes it a lot more threatening than the silly honey-eating bear it used to be. Maybe I'm just imagining it, and he's always been this gigantic, but, so that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope my insect glaive rant didn't sound too, you know, ranty. I think the weapon's still gonna be a ton of fun. I think it's still in a good place. It's just, you know, I think it deserves a little better. Anyways, if you guys liked today's video, please leave a like, and I can't wait to read your comments about the monster that you feel like you have conquered yourself. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of this. Right now.